Welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Stefan Botches Harris hit Theresa's confession rocks. Tate Days of Our Lives reveals that Stefan DiMera showed up at the sanitarium dressed like a croaker and put on a surgical mask as he approached Harris Michael's room. Stefan sounded concerned about trying to get once Officer Goldman, but she surprised him by acting glad she was there since she demanded a cappuccino break. Officer Goldman asked if Stefan wanted anything and gentled him on the arm, so he snappily realized she was working for Clyde. Once Stefan entered Harris' room and prepared to fit his four with the vial contents, Harris' eyes snapped open and he hopped out of bed to snare him. There was a physical battle as Harris put Stefan in a chokehold, but Stefan claimed he'd no choice. Harris argued that everybody makes choices and refocused out that Stefan's fingerprints were each over the hype. So that was the alternate time he'd tried to exclude a Bobby. After Harris made it clear that he was giving the orders now, he said Stefan was taking the fall for this and that he was going to help him take down Clyde Weston. Once Harris got Stefan to confirm that he understood, he said Stefan could go and that he'd be in touch. Stefan bolted out of the room, but Harris was out of breath and in pain as he halted back into bed. Officer Goldman appeared and sounded surprised to find that Harris was still alive. The bus started turning for Harris, so Goldman reached for her armament only to reevaluate effects when she saw a sanitarium hand entering the room. Officer Goldman eventually ran off as Harris realized she must be one of Clyde's intelligencers. In Steve Johnson's office, he went over Trip Johnson and Wendy Shin's case with John Black until Brady Black called asking if his pater was coming to see Tate Black. Steve assured John that he could handle effects without him for a while, so John indeed headed over to Tate's new halfway house. That left Steve alone when Konstantin Meliunis entered to formally again bandy what happened in Awry. Steve eventually came clean about being the pawn's tutor and said no bone was supposed to die that day. After Steve stepped down to take a call from Victor Kiriaki's back also, he returned to find a youthful girl had been shot, though he didn't know who she was. Now Steve realized that was Katharina and that the unconscious man coming to her was Konstantin. Still, Steve defended John and criticized maniac Stefano DiMera for the programming. Stefano and Victor were gone, so Steve suggested Konstantin could spear on their graves if he wanted to. John was a good man who had suffered enough in Steve's eyes, but Konstantin blustered about his own suffering and wanted John to pay along with Steve. At Tate's halfway house on Friday's day's occasion, Brady was dissatisfied to find that he was on Tate's list of callers. Tate let Theresa Donovan in alone while John got updates on the situation from Brady. After Brady pushed John to go ahead and see his grandson, John sounded eager to put in a good word for Brady. In the visiting room, Tate told Theresa that Remedy brought up a lot of stuff for him about Brady not being there for him as a sprat, especially after they moved to California. Theresa said that was her fault since she prevaricated to interlace Brady in a murder case and assured she got guardianship. It was Theresa who claimed they should move to California, so she admitted she kept Brady from Tate. That news left Tate reeling, but Theresa wasn't done. After Theresa confessed the slip in her recovery, she refocused out that Brady came through for her with plenitude of support. John eavesdropped part of Theresa's admission and backed her up when it came to Brady's love for Tate, who eventually agreed to let Brady in. Although Brady assumed John got through to his son, Tate admitted it was Theresa who got him to see the light rather. Brady set up out about Theresa's concession and thanked her as he hugged Tate, who was sorry for condemning his father. Tate also embraced Theresa and praised her frippery in telling him the verity. At the DiMera manse on Friday's DOL show, Holly Jonas sounded frustrated over Nicole DiMera dodging her questions, but Nicole easily didn't want to overwhelm her. EJ DiMera mentioned commodity about Holly not letting her muscles atrophy after this long in bed, so Holly wondered just how long she'd been in a coma. After Holly walked over to a president with EJ's help and ate some of the food Nicole brought, she eventually got them to give some answers. Holly realized she'd supposedly been in a coma for months and wanted to know how she ended up in one. EJ said opioid-bejeweled medicines were set up in Holly's system, so Nicole and EJ asked if she flashed back where she got them. Holly didn't, but she sounded nervous and acted like perhaps someone cured her drink. EJ was eager to latch onto the idea that Tate roofied Holly, so he pushed Nicole to see that in a moment alone with her in the hallway. Meanwhile, Holly flashed back kissing Tate before their date and said his name audibly while looking reflective. Subsequently on Friday's day's occasion, Holly sounded to be asleep as Nicole spoke to EJ in her room. Nicole felt like it'd be her fault if Holly willingly took the medicines and acted like it'd make her a failure as a mama. Once Holly was alone again, she opened her eyes to reveal to Day's suckers that she'd been hearkening in on the disquieting discussion. Harris rats out Goldman Everett's new confidant. Paulina fears the worst days of our lives reveal that Paulina Price will face growing enterprises about her health, so she'll have a deep discussion with Marlena Evans and admit she's got a lot further life she wants to live. The study of leaving her family so soon will be tough for Paulina to accept, so she'll open up about her fears and get some guidance. Meanwhile, Lonnie Grant and Abe Carver will deal with some worries of their own, but they'll spend some time with Paulina and try to have stopgap for her recovery. Unfortunately, Day's spoilers say Paulina's health is going to deteriorate enough fleetly over the coming many occurrences, so Kayla Johnson may confirm that she needs a heart transplant. As for Harris Michaels, he managed to stop Stefan DiMera's rearmost attempt on his life and claimed he was giving the orders now. Harris said Stefan was going to help him take down Clyde Weston and let him go for the time being, but their physical struggle took a lot out of him. It's clear that Harris is enough weak, but he'll have some news for Rafe Hernandez on Monday's DOL occasion, though it'll be about Officer Goldman rather of Stefan. It looks like Harris may keep Stefan's guilt to himself during this discussion, but he'll surely rat out Officer Goldman now that he knows she's a dirty Bobby. Other Day's spoilers say Clyde will get in touch with Ava Vitale and hand down and claim, so she'll have to carry out a new charge if she wants to save Trip Johnson and Wendy Shin. Since we know Clyde's on the verge of conniving a captivity break, he may force Ava to help him with that. Across city, Day's spoilers say Everett Lynch will give Julie Williams updates on his other identity, so she'll hear the whole Bobby Stein story. Everett will entrust how confusing all of this has been since Jada Hunter, Elia Cantu, hates him for effects he CA and flashback doing. Although Everett doesn't flashback their marriage or cheating with Stephanie Johnson, Abigail Klein, he's facing counter-reaction and fears he might lose Stephanie for good. Days of Our Lives spoilers say Everett will talk to Julie about his love for Stephanie and get some advice. Will Harris Michaels die so that Paulina Price can live? Mayor gets Bobby's heart? Days of Our Lives note that there are no concurrents in the land of Salem. As Harris Michaels awakens from his recent firing, suckers know that actor Steve Burton's days are numbered. Not to mention the fact that Stefan DiMera is plugging for him and will try to finish the job he started. Across the hall in the sanitarium, Paulina Price is recovering from successful thyroid cancer surgery, still, suffered a heart attack in the process and may need a new heart. Will Harris be the bone? Who donates this to her? Days of Our Lives Steve Burton has exited the soap. DOL spoilers indicate that Harris's run on the day drama is coming to an end. Actor Steve Burton mugged his last scenes in December, which means that suckers will probably see him until May, but that doesn't inescapably mean his character will be around until also. Days of Our Lives Will Harris Michaels die so that Paulina Price can live? Mayor gets Coppa's heart, perhaps the final scenes Burton shared in were flashbacks or as a ghost. He could die in the days or weeks ahead, come Paulina's heart patron, and still have scenes on the show until May sweeps month. DOL Paulina gets unusual flashbacks. DOL spoilers indicate that Stefan will probably finish the job and kill Harris. Also again, perhaps Clyde Weston has someone on the inside of the sanitarium and can do it. As Paulina needs a heart transplant, when Michaels passes down, he could be a perfect match forms. Price. This is the land of detergents, where anything is possible. Back in 2016 when an awful drunk driving accident led to Brady Black's need for a heart transplant, and inescapably Daniel Jonas's death, Maggie Horton took her son off life support and bestowed his heart to Brady. After the transplant, Brady began having odd dreams, which eventually brought Summer Townsend to Salem, who was Daniel's half-family and Maggie's son. Could the same type of plot be unraveling then? Perhaps Paulina's flashbacks or dreams are connected to Harris's murder. Perhaps it'll lead to Stefan getting nailed for killing the Bobby. Either way, it's hard to ignore the coexistence of Harris on the verge of dying and Paulina demanding a heart transplant. Will Paulina's new heart come from Harris? Partake your studies in the comment section.